Welcome to the journey. May this space inspire you to ask questions, explore the unknown, and most importantly, to awaken. This is the Library of Awakening. Floor is open for anybody that wants to talk. As always, just to be an open Zoom. We're gonna catch up on the homework that we had last week, and then, um, as always, there isn't really going to be any structure to these Zooms. I'm doing that on purpose so that they kind of just happen, which is kind of how I wanted it to be. I didn't really want there to be any structure because I wanted you guys to feel free. I don't want there to be any constraints. I'm not here to limit any of you guys. So, um, yeah, take that for what it is and just be respectful and honest towards other people's opinions and books that they recommend and things that they want to get into. And we're all just here to grow and learn. And the things that we cover or talk about might not be my personal opinions or this, and that, because there might be books where we get into religion, there might be books where we get into racism, there might be books where we get into, I don't even know, the realms of freaking science. Like, who knows what kind of stuff we could dive into, but we're just here to explore, right? Read books. That's it. At the end of the day, we'll give our opinions on the books we read and we'll have a conversation, but let's all just be, you know, one in the moment. So, um, it was Camille's book. That was the homework last week. Let me share my screen for anybody that wasn't here last week. And I
Who
would
read the
like,
book, by the way? I just wonder who read the book.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, show of hands if you guys actually read the first chapter. Don't be embarrassed if you didn't. It's cool. We all have personal lives, but I just want to see if
I
anybody
actually
wants
missed
to.
the homework. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's good. Cool. It's cool too. So because if you missed the homework, so what we're gonna do is I will find a way to structure kind of like what the homework was in case anybody missed it. So if you're a monthly member, okay, you'll be able to click into the book club section. And for you guys that are not monthly members, that are just CyberX traders, there's going to be a playlist here. It's pinned in the book club section at the top up here, the Library of Awakening. So I will record, these will be recorded and they'll be uploaded here. So if you want to check on the homework or what it was, we'll try to leave the homework for the remainder of the week for the next call to recap at the end of the calls. So that way, if you missed, you know, the last call, you can just go quickly to the end of the last Zoom call. Maybe the last 15 minutes will be the conversation of the homework for the next week. So that if you missed it, you can go back, watch the last 15 minutes, know what the homework is. And then the book will always be dropped in the book club section. So Break Fee is always kind enough to share his vast arsenal of books with us, which is an absolute blessing to have somebody like him on our team. I always want to give praise to the people that put in effort and work for this community, for you guys to enlighten and awaken. And what Break Free has done for you guys, giving you all these books. I can't even, sometimes, honestly, when I'm going through the book section, it like makes me tear up because there's so much value inside of it. People don't understand. It's really crazy. So thank you, Break Free, for that. But he shared the book here. It was Camille's recommendation, and it was In Search of the Miraculous. So just to recap, back to Camille's question, who read the book? I did. I read the first chapter. I won't lie to you guys. I skimmed over it in a sense where I didn't like sit there and you know, read intuitively the entire chapter. How I read these books and why I've been able to read so many books is because I incorporate the books into my daily activities. So like, not to be embarrassing, I'm open to talk to you guys, but like when I'm taking it, I'm not the type of dude that be scrolling on my phone on freaking Instagram. I'm sitting there reading a book. When I'm cooking, or something like that, I usually have a podcast on, or if I do have time when I'm doing my 20 or 30 minutes of cardio, I'm reading a book or listening to a podcast. So this week, how I read the chapter was every day I did 20 minutes of cardio on the bike. And so during that 20 minutes was when I skimmed through the book to find my highlights and whatnot, right? So I'm just being transparent with you guys, but maybe that'll help you learn as well how to incorporate this knowledge into your life because it doesn't have to be something that you like completely shift your entire attention away to deploy, it's just improvement. It's just learning something that you didn't know, reading something that's actually worth value that could teach you something that you could take and implement and turn into something that benefits your life, right? Because not all of us have the time to read these books. Let's be realistic. All right. So that's how I read this chapter. I don't know if anybody wants to pick up on that, but yeah, who else read it? Did anybody else incorporate a cool way to read the book this week that did? I'm interested to know. If not, cool. Wolf, go ahead. You don't have to you can just chime in when there's a dull moment. You don't have to raise your hand.
For me, one of the things that I incorporated to get through the first chapter was I actually looked it up on YouTube as a audiobook, and I
Ooh,
was able to
sweet.
find it. And so I just started listening to it, and to be honest, there were a lot of points in the book that made me stop and really think. And I really enjoyed it. I intend to keep reading it. It was really good.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Next time too, I don't know if you did, but drop the audio in the Discord and you know, just be like, "Hey guys, I found this," because that would probably help a lot of people too, which would be
For
cool. You can
sure.
do that in the third eye section or in the general chat or just anywhere, honestly, in the Discord, we'll find it.
I'm quite
Go ahead, Camille.
curious if we can push the question, just like if you have one point that you highlight, like which one would it be if you remember any?
Yeah, yeah,
And
let's actually read
just,
some of these,
let's
Camille.
just talk a little bit about it. I'm curious to see the point of view of people because this book is dear to me. And of course, I really understand the depth of the chapters. So when you say Cypress, you went over it. I'm pretty sure I respect everyone's time, but you probably missed one or two very
Oh, of
key
course. Of
stuff
course I did.
because
Of course I did. I know for
it's
a
very,
fact that this book is jam-packed with value. I wonder, Camille, could you tell everybody maybe why this is one of the books you recommended?
so of course I can, but out of curiosity, before just bringing my opinion onto people's mind, I would like to the one who read through, the one who had that couple of things that came out to them, just to have a general
Yeah.
opinion.
Okay, I can go
If people
first
are
to open the door if you guys want. I don't
sure.
mind. So I highlighted this is again just kind of like my ideal note-taking process for how I guess I'll go about this so that way the notes are organized. And you guys kind of know how I'm going to organize them. I put the little tiny picture one, two, three, and then I'm just going to do a brief number when I give my answer for the homework. One, two, three, right? So that way you know where my thought process was and what quote I pulled, and then my own personal perspective on it. So I want to find this one that I really like. Dude, I gravitated, Camille, so much to this when I read it. And it was because I had a perfect actual life experience. Like this happened to me. So it was here, number four. War revealed the emptiness of civilization. So that was kind of like my ideal from the quote. And the quote from the book says, then that war must be looked upon as one of those generally catastrophic conditions of life in the midst of which we have to live and work and seek answers to our questions and doubts. The war, the great European war, in the possibility of which I had not wanted to believe and the reality of which I did not for a long time wish to acknowledge, had become a fact. We were in it, and I saw that it must be taken as a great memento mori, showing that hurry was necessary and that it was possible to believe in life which led nowhere. And so, in a nutshell, my thought process from this was that war, because if you read the book, it's this guy, and he's going through his story. And I related to this because the war showed me that something in our world was fundamentally wrong, right? World War One in this book shattered this guy's belief in progress and civilization. And so what do I see that as? I saw that as crisis exposed the weakness of false systems. And in the military, one of the reasons why I because you guys, I'm a complete different person from who I used to be. I'm talking about when I was growing up, I had a picture of a freaking Navy SEAL on my wall, and I wanted to be that dude. I wanted to be that dude. And so my whole entire military career, I joined the infantry. Like, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But, you know, I deployed twice. I got to see all that from age 17 to I got out in 2017. So I don't know, 24, 25. That was my life. Bald head, wanted to spend 25 years in the military. And when I was overseas, just one of my very close friends passed away, and the military did not support his family. Like, there was a bunch of stuff with the paperwork and how soldiers are supposed to, once, your spouse is supposed to get a certain amount of money if you pass away and da 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 da. And he didn't sign his paperwork the correct way or something. It was something so stupid and minuscule. They made an excuse about it. And I remember I got promoted overseas. I became a sergeant overseas, so I overtook a team inside of a platoon, and it was a dude from my freaking team. And so I was close to, oh, fuck, I'm about to cry right now because I was close to him. He was like a really good friend of mine. And anyways, I tried my hardest after he passed away to stand for this guy's family to get financial compensation. He had a wife and three kids. And I remember standing in a room with higher ranking people that tried to defend paperwork over this man's family. And it made me realize we were just pawns. They didn't care about us. And it wasn't until that moment that I didn't have any, I'm not angry at America. I'm not angry at the government, you know, because anger is just hate and it's not, I've let go. I've let go of blame. you know, because it's not even their fault. Those men that were defending what they were defending because of what they believed in was just how they were raised. It is just a result of the universe in which we operate in, right? And so I decided instead of supporting and standing for this, I'm not big enough, and anybody needs to have the humbleness to understand that they're not big enough to defeat the system. But you can decide not to play a part and a role in it. That is the truth. And so I decided that. And so I got out. No hard feelings. I see what y'all stand for. I don't represent that. Peace. I'm out. And so I started a PCS. I got out, and that was it. Now here I am, a multi seven figure investor that created this community for you guys under the backdrop of war and how it revealed the emptiness in civilization, and that war showed me something in our world was fundamentally wrong. And I experienced that. That was my awakening. That's where I was like, nah, this is it. This is jacked up. I wore the flag on my shoulder and I'm standing there defending this guy's to get financial compensation because he sacrificed his life for our freedom. And y'all can't support that. That shit woke me up. And so when he wrote this in this book, I was like, wow, this book is gnarly. So yeah, anyways, that's how I related to this book the most. I was on my bike doing my cardio, and there's only two places that I cry, and that's on my bike in the garage. Not like a fucking whimpering cry like I'm hurt, but not like an emotional, it's just so powerful. It's almost like a release, right? It's actually really healthy. You guys should try it. You have all your emotions and this and that, and it just releases. And it's phenomenal, and you come to peace with what you're thinking about. But this was that moment for me. This is how I gravitated towards that book. So, uh, yeah. That's my that's my part. And that was number four. Anyways, the CyberX OGs know that story. If you're hearing that for the first time, then you know there's a little bit of backdrop about me.
We're not gonna make you cry all night.
Who's next? Did anybody else read it?
Who's next to cry?
Um, so for me, the quote that actually like really stood out for me was everything is dependent on everything else. Everything is connected. Nothing is separate, therefore everything is going in the only way it can go. Like the last sentence of that quote, initially I was kind of like, what does he mean? everything is going in the only way that it can go, you know, like there's so many ways things can go. And I just kind of let that quote sit with me and I wrote it down because for some reason it nagged at me and I couldn't place it. And eventually I got to a place where I recognized that this was probably one of the truths that he later talks about, like being able to really like hear the truth and accept the truth, is that like everything that we experience, like on a global scheme and
Yeah.
also on a personal scheme,
What time? Okay.
is 100% due to whatever actions we have taken or have not taken. And therefore, the results, even though, you know, we might be surprised at the results later on, we pretend to be surprised, but we know what the results are when we don't make an effort or when we don't act in accordance to what we're trying to achieve. And so that quote really gravitated towards me for that
Yo, that was
reason.
good. That was good. That was good. Bravo. That was good. That was sick. You were cooking. Dude, you were cooking just then. Doesn't it feel almost like you're creating like harmony when you speak like that? Like when you find out something that you can grow from, and then you just start flowing with what you're learning and what the universe is teaching you. It's almost kind of like how good music is created. Like you're just allowing life to flow through your vocabulary, and it's beautiful. So thank you for sharing. That was dope. Um, yeah, I think you're right. I can't even you nailed it on the freaking head. Here's the quote, by the way. This is the part of the book that you were talking about. Trying to understand what I'm saying. Everything is dependent on everything else. Everything is connected. Nothing is separate. Therefore, everything is going in the only way it can go. If people were different, everything would be different. They are what they are, so everything is as it is. It's so crazy how that full circles back to what I just said. That's weird how that's connected because that's exactly the thing that I went through. I was like, this cool. This is what it is. I ain't mad at it, but I gotta bounce. That's dope. This was a good share. This was a good share. I like that one. We had a couple others. I don't know if Al was on the call. He shared his homework, and who else did? Was it just Al, me, and Camille?
Break Free as well did.
Break free did. Let me scroll. Let me scroll. Okay, Camille got hers in. I'm gonna pick one. I don't know if break free is if you are you able to unmic or can I just pick one? If anybody else wants to help, I don't know if break free can answer, but or maybe he can in the chat. But if you guys want to take a quick peek at his release, you are more than welcome to real quick. And if something stands out real fast while I'm taking a peek, yeah, he said no, he's with his kids. Bring it up to the table. I'm just gonna read thoroughly through maybe like four of his pictures real quick, just to see what his homework was. The homework was just to highlight what gravitates towards you in this book that Camille had recommended. Camille, I will say this though, now that two people have shared, are you now willing to tell us, why you picked this book? You
I
said at the
can go over
beginning.
my notes. It's not a secret. It's just to, I mean, but the one who, for those who read, let me go over the one I shared myself.
Can I add to that question, Cypress?
Oh, frick yeah, dude, you're here. What's up?
Sure.
What's up, bro?
Camille, so not only, I was asking why this book, mine's a bit more why this book and not one by Gurdjieff himself.
Because so the people who knows a little bit the story of Gurdjieff, which I think nobody knows, um, Ouspensky was one of his strongest students, let's say, and Ouspensky had a more practical and modern way to visualize everything.
Sure.
And
Okay.
so he used all the knowledge that Gurdjieff provided him and created a more, yeah, modern and applicable to day-to-day life, more physical and down to earth, when Gurdjieff was much more of a spiritual level, let's put it this way. So Ouspensky is the best representation for us today to retranslate in our modern language and modern day-to-day way to practice
See,
and look ourselves.
that makes sense. Cool. Thank you.
Have you read it? Did you like it as well?
I've only read the first chapter, but I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna read this book because I've had some of Gurdjieff stuff on my bookshelf for years.
Dude, the
Like
other day I'm sitting there, Al, and I was like, wait, Camille, I haven't I heard I've heard this name before. Remember I said that to you the other day, Camille? I was like, where have I got I feel like I've heard this dude's name before.
You did
I
send
think I
it to
have
me.
a book too, bro. And I was like, dang, I gotta revisit this author, you know?
Well, you spoke earlier about like the harmony and how you felt like in the flow when Wolf were talking. That's exactly what it is, like the In Search of the Miraculous. I really recommend everyone to read this book. I'll go over a couple points from the chapter when if someone else wants to talk before me, but this book is for me the essence of the universe and knowing yourself. That's even why I'm part of a personally
It's
in
it's
a school where I learned this practices.
it's a very deep philosophical book. Like that's what I would
Yeah, and
classify it as.
philosophy, if you divide it, etymology, philosophy is the love of knowledge. So what's best than knowing yourself? I mean, if you know yourself, you know the world to me. So
When was this book written? Second
um
impression, third
18
impression.
something.
Yeah.
no, it'd have to be
Well,
later.
no, that
This is
was
after
during First War, so 19 late, yeah.
The date doesn't matter. I guess the point I was trying to make with asking the date was that what I've come to find in my research is that when you start digging into books that were written before like AI and before
Of course.
things could be manipulated,
the
the
public
the
school system.
dude, like the better it gets. It's so crazy. And what's even crazier, the rabbit hole is that the deeper you go, the more you realize how everybody's opinions and beliefs, a lot of them have been constructed and manipulated and changed over time to fit an agenda, and that a lot
Yeah,
of
but
this information is hidden.
if you read the first in the first in the first chapter, they exactly talk about that, the fact that we all depending on external influences and astrological. So the time that everything was prevailed and everything was sorry hidden was part of what was needed at the time. But now we're entering in a new time where information is needed to come out. And we are the generation who are creating this knowledge to be able to be shared, and so everything comes at the right time for the right reason, and we're in a time where it's knowledge comes back to earth, comes back to life.
I agree with you. Do you remember? It's like we're all having an awakening, right? Right? Kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah, you know, go
Like
into
the
it.
world's having an awakening. This has happened before. The crazy part is this has happened before in our DNA. Okay. What people don't understand is that this thing that we are experiencing has happened in our DNA. Well, I guess, okay, let me concentrate what I'm trying to say here. Okay. How many times have you felt maybe like you don't belong or like for me, example, sometimes I feel like I'm like, how am I related to these people? And it's just that they haven't unlocked the DNA that we have with the ability to awaken. So that's why a lot of people seem to be, they have the blindfold on. We all have it in our DNA to unlock the curtain, but a lot of people haven't yet. But those of us that are, we have to understand that this has happened. If you have ever read the Atrahasis epic, which is why I recommend it, talks about the creation of the human species. And it's one of many accounts, of course. There's multiple creation stories, and I'm not saying that this one is the one because I'm not here to say that to anybody. But if you read that epic, it's thousands of years before the Bible was written. It was on written on clay tablets, and in some cases, even the Epic of Gilgamesh, um, written on clay tablets that were from like 5,000 years ago. You know, if you actually look at the chronology of things, we're in 2026 AD after the birth of Christ. Okay. Well, the information for the book that most people go off of in religion, the Bible, specifically Christianity, was written in some cases that I've read between the 6th and 4th century BC. Most of the Bible, at least from sources that I've read up to the point of the research that I've done. Well, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Atrahasis epic, predate that when the Bible was written, thousands of years. And those creation stories say that there was an ancient race called the Anunnaki and the Ajiji, who were the lesser versions of the Anunnaki that were at the time workers for the Anunnaki. And one day they realized, wait, y'all are gods, we're gods, but we're just lesser gods. Why are we doing all this work for y'all when we're equal, when we are just as superior as you all? And then so they revolted against that after they had this awakening. And so the Anunnaki conjured together and they were like, well, how can we solve this problem? And then they created the human species, again, according to these epics. So that way, the Ajiji didn't have to work for the Anunnaki anymore. And they made this race of human beings that facilitated the work of the Ajiji. And then it goes on to the Adam and Eve story and all this stuff and how it's just, again, it's if you look into the details from thousands of years ago, all of this is embedded into our DNA. It's crazy. Like,
Hey, Cypress,
go ahead.
could you
Go
put
ahead.
that in the chat?
Yeah,
Could you
it
put that in
is.
the chat? I want to check that out. Is
It
it
is
that?
110%. It's called the
Okay,
Atrahasis. I mean,
thank you.
I don't know if there's a picture of it. I don't know if we are able to get the translated version. I'm sure that you guys could find a audio version on YouTube, but I dropped it in the books club. Not to get off topic, I was just kind of going off of what Camille was saying. Um, Not to go on a tangent, but it that just fit perfectly kind of with what Camille was saying. Like we've been through this awakening. It's in our DNA, and it can happen to more people if they choose to go on the route of, escaping the matrix. No pun intended.
Yeah, it's a remember now. Hey, weren't they the ones that supposedly clipped our DNA? You know what they call quote unquote junk DNA, right? That it's really not junk. It was where they right, and that's what kept us from remembering. And
I
now you're part of your great awakening is people actually. That's what the awakening is. It's remembering. It's a
Mhm.
remembering of who you are.
in a,
Exactly,
in
of
a
who you are.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. I was just
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
say off of what Kristen said, just in a nutshell. Like I'm not here to say that they clipped our DNA or whatever, because in different epics and different models, like from the Epic of Gilgamesh to the Atrahasis, in a nutshell, we just need to condense it into one thing. The alteration of DNA, yes, whether they clipped it, flipped it, tripped it, that's not the debate. But we do know, at least from ancient texts, that yeah, the human genome was manipulated and conjured, and we were created like by God. There's so much rabbit hole to go down there. But these epics, again, I personally believe not that you should believe in the information, right? Because there's so many different stories, but you should at least soak up the information and have a perspective about it, right? Because what you'll find in your journey is that that will lead you to something else and something else, and that'll just continue to create enlightenment. And instead of fearing it, you embrace it and you enlighten. It's pretty crazy. You're just that neutral, which goes back to what Wolf was saying in her piece there. Where is it at? I don't remember. Oh, sorry, I searched it up. She didn't, and it wasn't in the homework, but nonetheless, that was perfect. But yeah, Camille, sorry to cut you off. What were you gonna say? If you wanted to, or
No,
who?
no, nothing in particular. Like I was just like highlighting the fact that Christians say you need to know yourself.
Mhm.
And that's funny because that round that buckle up back to the book itself. That's funny. Know thyself.
Did you want to share a piece that you had, or did you want to let Al go?
Yeah, I can go. Yeah.
If you would like me to pull it up for everybody, maybe a portion that you wanted to cover, bro, one of your favorites, and then
Sure. Yeah, I'm looking at that list you got there. I don't know, they're all kind of favorites, but two that maybe, let's see. Well, the first one,
okay.
I guess probably not going to talk too much on that, but um I like how in their discourse, and I don't even think the point is can you keep a secret? That was just an example of um a contract of trust and a burden of responsibility. But essentially, um, Gurdjieff defines that point like man does not know himself, that he's not what he can and what he should be. Like essentially, we're asleep. Like we don't even know what our potential is, and whether this book discusses it or not, I don't know. If they get into why are we asleep, because I think I would believe it's outside influences who have put us that way, but that's all speculation. In this though, uh, then they started talking on until one sorts himself out. These are my notes actually. Until one sorts himself out, one's living a delusion. So if you don't uh, know yourself, learn about yourself, like look inward and just because there's a lot of truths there. Like it's a garden of knowledge if you start exploring. But there's so much truth there. Uh, the 99% get scared. They don't want to face that.
Yo,
So
yo,
so
dude's
so
cooking right now. Dude's
so they
cooking right
ignore
now.
so they ignore it, and by definition, you're living a delusion, okay? Because you're not facing that. Um, Now you go out in the world and you start talking to other people. Hey, I've read some enlightened books. I excluded all the parts that had to do with me, but there's some other cool stuff in there. We should create a partnership or give me some responsibilities. And to someone who's awakened and done that work, you honestly can't take that person seriously. You can't like, and in this passage, Gurdjieff even emphasized, even if they want to be the good person or help you or whatnot, like they want to hold that secret for you. And to me, the most recent analogy is trading, which is I'll sit down with all my rules and I'm going to follow these rules. And as soon as I click buy, this little voice starts telling like, oh man, do this, do that. And I act against what I had set out to do. And the trade goes sideways and you analyze it and you're like, wow, like nothing happened except I didn't live up to what I said I was going to do. Looks like I got to do some homework on myself. And people who don't do that and walk around and are quote making promises and stuff, your sounds coming out of your mouth hole and that's it. Like no one can take you seriously. Anyways, I love that little passage. Like Gurdjieff just kind of calls it out. Like we're at the start and
Yo,
all who are
this one here,
asleep.
did you write this, bro? Did you? Okay, so this single quote, y'all, check this out, because yo, you just cooked. You just cooked. Same with freaking Wolf. Like, I don't know if you were you on Al at the time when I almost cried just a second ago?
Yeah, I was there. I was there.
Okay, cool. All right, so you've been here since the start. Bro, that was such a flow. Like again, just like that was such a flow. How you found this information and then had that relation to it and then turned it into something that somebody can learn from by listening to what you just said. But this goes hard. This is like, you know those pictures that Break Free shares every day in the third eye section? I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
read those. I read
Yeah.
them. They're freaking
Yeah.
so motivational. Like if you guys, I encourage you for just 30 days. Okay. It's like a cleanse. Okay. I'm telling you right now, it's pretty crazy. Every day, Break Free comes in. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I have. I read them every morning. Not all of them, I'm not going to lie, but I pick two or three that I relate to. So if I'm ever feeling like doing some scrolling, I don't be scrolling on Instagram. That's why my Instagram algorithm sucks. So I get no feed. I don't be scrolling on Twitter. No. That's why they got my algo blocked because I'm not engaged all the time on Twitter and other people's shit. I just post my shit and get off. That's why the algorithm doesn't work for us. Where I spend most of my time is in this Discord, and I'm telling you, this Discord is power, all caps. So Break Free every morning comes and shares these tiny little posts, right? He's got like literally, I don't think he's ever for one time posted the same one. So who knows what type of freaking, you have to understand, break free is on another level, you guys. This man is the data center of the freaking internet. You got like, think about it. Every day for the last year, he's posted something new, motivational, spiritual, enlightening, and it never stops. And when you embrace this, look at this man's name, Break Free from the Matrix. He didn't choose that for no reason. Look at his picture. It's a little tiny book snippet of the George Orwell 1984, right? Or at least it was. He changed it a couple times. This man is a legend with his access. Okay? This dude that you guys all have access to, like it's crazy. Okay? Just tap in. I can't keep talking on it, but data that most people will never stumble upon, you guys. Okay? Seriously. Seriously. It's a transfer of energy. And this quote reminded me of one of those. And if you wrote this, Al, or pat yourself on the back. This is fire. Until one sorts out thyself, one is living a delusion, so much that you cannot be taken seriously. Was that yours or was that his?
That's mine. Like he's saying that message, but that's just my words to
Nice
hand
to
it
be
off.
on a painting on a wall. It's
Yo, that was
I'm
fire.
actually write that on my chalkboard wall in my bedroom. Thank you for that.
Wow. Banger, dude. So do you see now why, doing homework is cool?
I'll also touch on break free stuff. I'm on probably day 200, 210, I think. Like first day I got here in July last year. And probably the first day, I'm already in the third eye section. Like this looked interesting. And literally I haven't missed a day. Every morning, the very first thing, my routine is I hit those motivation posts. And before any other outside influence can get a foothold in my mind, that's what I allow to do it. And so some days I haven't even reflected on it. Other days I do. But regardless, um, and maybe this is admitting some power break free's got on me. He's gonna put in some messages, but regardless, I trust the source and I believe it served me well. Um, every day, my subconscious is just operating on what these
Dude,
memes are. I love
it's
it.
a
Thank you,
whole
break
it's
free.
a whole nother frequency, bro. That thank you was so powerful. I know for a fact Break Free is smiling right now because I know the man, and I'll tell you guys right now from my own personal conversations with Break Free, this man is a powerful man. When you're going through stuff, things that are life changing, okay, listen to my words, y'all. And instead of hating the world and stopping the momentum and letting the world overpower your decisions and letting your experiences negatively reflect in your reality, and you can literally work through all of that operationally enough to come into somewhere and motivate people as your sole purpose every day is a powerful characteristic trait. Like, I'm talking about one in a million people, maybe even one in a billion people like this you will meet in your lifetime. And Break Free is one of those people. If you go back and you look at how much commitment to just making sure that someone doesn't matter, and I know Break Free, it doesn't matter if it's 100 people, a million people, 10 billion people. That number doesn't exist right now, but you catch my drift, or one, it doesn't matter. His sole purpose is that somebody sees it and it helps them. That's it. And it shows, yo, this is crazy, y'all, like straight up. So I love that it has helped someone, and I hope that Break Free now knows. I mean, he knows. We all know he knows. But dude, yeah, this is crazy because you're right. And you know what's even crazy is I'm translating that over to the Knowledge of Awake or the Library of Awakening Twitter, and a lot of people are vibing with it, you know? So full circling back to what we previously discussed about, I don't remember if it was Camille or Wolf, but we got on this tangent about how this world's going through this awakening process. And this information plays a big role. We were discussing originally how this all kicked off was we had talked and asked Camille why she thought this book was important. Um, but yeah, because it's a real philosophical ass book. It really touches home. It's not like about a whole bunch of bull crap. It's just about life. And you start to relate to it because it almost does something to your brain when you read it. Like, oh wow, this is actually. So, I
Hey,
don't know.
yeah. Hey, have fun. Yes.
I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when you're reading this information, is it almost like your brain doesn't understand it at first, and it's not until you read it maybe two or three times that then it starts to click? Can anybody relate to that?
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's a stupid human brain. We got different knowledge, you got divine knowledge and human knowledge, and sometimes human knowledge blocks the divine knowledge to come through. So we're just bugging on it, like,
I can see why most people, and again, I'm not saying that I'm better than most people, but most people, statistically speaking, ignore this type of stuff. Um, it sucks to say that, but it's the truth. Some people just naturally don't gravitate towards it, and that's fine. But positivity and enlightenment is there, so you choose to find it. And what you choose to spend your time consuming reflects in your reality, and divine people know that. Some people will disagree with me, and that's fine, but I guarantee you, you stick two people in a scenario together, and the one that remains positive the entire time and reacting to that energy, turning negative situations into something positive, versus the person that's in the same situation, that's going through the same things, turns everything that's negative at them into a new negative. The one person that I first described is going to be the one that succeeds. It's logical, right? So it's really crazy that when you put that block aside of, man, this stuff is confusing, and you just read it a couple of times, it actually starts to click and you're like, oh, wow, I could use that. And you just pull little slivers. And that little sliver that you gave, bro, was dope. The one that Wu gave was dope, or Wolf gave was dope. Um, what is it? Wolf, Wolf. Yeah, okay. Um, so, anyways, this was a dope share, guys and gals. We've been on for, you know, I don't want the conversation to go too long. I'd like for these to be relatively short so other people can watch them. So that was a good conversation, I think, just to get the flow of the conversation. Maybe we can keep doing that moving forward. We're not done yet. I want to really quick just see what are the recommendations we could just come across. Maybe if three or four people looked inside the book section this week, you have a book that you want to throw up onto the recommended table for the homework, and then real quick in the chat, we can just vote, one, two, three, or four, and pick the book for the homework next week. If you guys want to do that real quick, I'd be more than willing.
while
Um,
everyone's looking for a book, I'm just going to share for me what was the main take from this
yeah.
chapter that I think everyone should be very aware of
Okay.
is really as we understood, man is a machine, right? Like our body is really like a computer or whatever. It's just a machine that we pretend to know, but we actually have no clue how this machine works. That's why we have impulses. That's why you wake up and you say, I'll do this tomorrow for sure. And you wake up, it's a different personality wakes up in you. And as we may be awake of the matrix as a society, but you're not aware of the matrix inside yourself. And so this fragmentation and this division that we have inside us is kind of like the only way to be able to exit the matrix. And unless you are still fragmented inside you, the world will remain fragmented. You have no sovereignty. So you spend your life in an invisible prison thinking that you're awake and just blaming everyone to be a machine when yourself are completely mechanical. And so I think it's really important to be able to observe who you are and not just who you are, me, my name, whatever, just the different personality throughout the day. And just honestly, I would really advise people to dig a little bit through this book a bit more because it talks very much about the influences that help us becoming really better human, and it's really practical, and it has a very strong impact on your subconscious, a way that you can really escape what we call the matrix, because right now we're all in this matrix unless you're unified with yourself, and that is a whole journey to understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, feel free to type in the book, guys, honestly.
While I'm showing this to you guys, if you guys want to pull up a book, you guys are more than welcome. I'm gonna try to just the one that I'm gonna recommend and throw up on the table. It's kind of, I don't know if it's a essay or sorry, excuse me, I don't know if it's a book or if it's a PDF or what, but this one tripped me out, right? I'm not gonna say these words for YouTube's sake, okay? Because I don't know what's gonna be blocked when we start to talk about this stuff and what's not, but yo, these rabbit holes go deep, deep. So this is the one that I'm gonna recommend. It was this PDF here, Project Lucid, and it's the Beast 666 Universal Human Control System. I was like, what the fuck? 1996? Okay, let's tap in. That's like 2 years after I was born, when my brain was getting manipulated and juice was getting fed to me and shit. So I'm tapping into that, you know? That was my thought process. I was like, okay, Project Lucid, let's go. Um, and then look what it says. This is trippy. Consider the unbelievable. Hold on, let me get my thought process together. Consider the unbelievable magnitude and dimensions of Project Lucid. First, it mandates that every adult and child, even newborn babies, be issued a universal biometrics ID card, a smart card, with an advanced computer microchip. This powerful programmable ID card will store millions of bytes of information about the recipient, his or her photo, fingerprint, footprint, iris, eye scan, DNA, genotype, human look type, and I'm gonna, like I can even intention and data, financial status, and personal history. Y'all, this is exactly okay. I can't give my personal opinion on it because I'm not trying to get this stuff taken down. But you guys, hello, what? If you go up here and you go into our document section and you go into digital wallets, digital ID, you go into Internet of Bodies, you go into digital banking, you go into regulation, metaverse. Metaverse is trippy. You go into any one of these and you can find actual documents from these systemically important mother trucking organizations that run the world that are telling you that this is happening. What? Y'all, come on now. I'm telling you guys, Library of Awakening and what Break Free is doing and has done, I'm about to project that to the masses. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but CyberX grows relatively quickly. And believe it or not, a lot of people follow CyberX. Like freaking Jeremy Allaire followed the CyberX research page the other day. Look how, I mean, I know that this doesn't seem crazy, you guys and gals, but this is not, um, how do I say this without sounding arrogant? Okay. Let me just show you instead of talk on it. What's happening right now. All right. So you go to the CyberX Research Lab and you just look at some of the recent posts, and then you type in Jeremy Allaire, and you guys know who Jeremy Allaire is, right? Jeremy Allaire, there he is. Look at this. Look at some of the most recent re reposts of Jeremy Allaire. A lot of it is the CyberX research. Okay. CyberX Research Labs, there's one. Keep going. There's a couple more. This guy is the CEO of Circle. Circle is literally in the top 10. It's the number one freaking stablecoin right now. And you got here's another one, CyberX Research Labs. Jeremy Allaire reposted. Okay. The information that we're putting out here at CyberX is being validated by the people that are building out the ecosystem. Sitting on, guys, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is how you know I'm not lying. We have somebody sitting on the World Economic Forum stage reposting the CyberX research. And the CyberX research dude right here that works with the CyberX researchers hard to find this information to project it to you guys is being reposted by the dudes that are sitting on the World Economic Forum stage. So when I'm sitting here showing y'all that Break Free shared, shout out to Break Free, because dude's got to get his respect. But he's in here sharing this document. Where'd it go? You know, right here. And the same documents that we're sharing with you guys, Jeremy Allaire is sitting here reposting. Like I cannot make this up. Is I'm not. Sometimes I be tripping out when this is happening because a lot of people don't realize how actual confirmation this is. This is crazy confirmation because in this document it literally talks about all the stuff that's happening. And this is from 1996. Look at this. Direct email houses, which record every single item you purchase. Hidden miniature video cameras will be recording our activities, indoors, outdoors, day and night. I don't even obscenely invading our privacy and instantaneously transmitting their mountainous files of recorded visual data to the central. I don't even know what this is. Look at this. ISO 900 program. What is everybody obsessed with in crypto? ISO 222. They're like making it a thing. It's like cool, right? Buy XRP, buy XLM. It's ISO 222. That's a fucking mind game, guys. That's why I never cover it. I never talk about it. It's all a psyop. Look, okay? The ISO, you go look at the identity system, how they track currencies, all that stuff. It's mind blowing how deep the rabbit hole goes and how nuts they've been telling us this for the longest time. This document's not fake. It just, most people be like, back in the day when you were talking about it early on, it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. No, this isn't a conspiracy anymore. Like what I just said is actually common knowledge. If you just go look at the documents, it's not common knowledge. So people think it's a conspiracy theory, but it's actually not. They've actually been talking about this openly in their documents. The Bank of International Settlements, the World Economic Forum, the IMF, the Financial Conduct Authority, the freaking Federal Reserve, like all these companies and organizations are open about it. It's all public information. Most people just don't think it is because it's hard to find. And in this community, it's all there. It's all confirmed. That was great though. I don't even know how we got on that tangent, but I was recommending that book. That's what it was. So that's my recommendation is this Lucid book. Pick a chapter out of it, read it, see if it reverberates anything into our conversations. And if not, so be it. Let's see what else anybody else has. That's my recommendation for next week's homework. Anybody else? Take your time if you haven't found one yet. Maybe also too now because we're getting back in the swing of things. For next week, try to bring a book to the table. We'll make that a reoccurring thing. We do the homework if you want to. It's not freaking mandatory, you know. Um, and yeah,
There was a few books recommended last week. Why not just push through all those each week?
sure, we can. We can bring those back to the table. Awesome. Does anybody remember? I remember what they were. No,
I think
excuse
they're in
me.
the third eye.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Al. That's what I was gonna say. I don't remember where they were. Let's see if we can go back. So that's one. We'll pull up two more. So mine was that one, and then we'll go back to last week, put two more on the table, and then vote in the chat, one, two, or three, and then we'll get
Where
off
do
the
you
call.
want us to put the books?
Um, let's put them in the book club homework section only. So if you have a book, post it in the book club real quick so I can see it. So we'll pick one more from last week. I should have put a tag in there. Sorry, now I gotta scroll. Oh, here it goes. Here it goes. Okay, so Search of the Miraculous, that's what we chose this week. The Universal One was actually pretty cool. Wolf, I think, yeah, Wolf recommended that one. I'll pull that one up real quick. Let's see. That could be on the table. Okay. Um, we read a little bit of the murder of reality. Dude, you killed that one too. That was Break Free's recommendation last week, and Al noticed that the introduction, I remember this call last week, noticed that the introduction was already fire because I was about to jump into the chapter, and Al was like, whoa, 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 bro, but read that introduction though. And I was like, all right, cool, I trust you, bro. And I went back and read it, and it fucking blew my mind. So that was a good one. Um, Definitely go back and watch the homework from last week. It's about to drop on the Library of Awakening YouTube. So the Library of Awakening YouTube will always get these videos like, a week or whatever after we have them. Um, so it'll be cool to actually be on these conversations live. Because if you want to be on the conversations live, you got to type in with the community. You got to participate. And I think a lot of people soon moving forward will realize with these calls moving forward just how valuable this community is, not just in crypto and trading and finance, and instead bring a whole nother aspect of people to CyberX. Like that's what we're about to see over the next year to 2 years, is we're about to see a whole bunch of more people come into CyberX that haven't even really dabbled into crypto. They're just here for the books, right? That's what we're about to unlock. I'm telling you, the conversations already that people are doing in the comments on the TikTok, people are like, yo, this book is dope. What? This book is crazy. Soon people are going to be like, dang, this community is knowledgeable and it's going to continue to grow. And those conversations that you see in the mornings on the DeFi Zoom calls that you guys are starting to have, more people are going to start to pile in. Trust me. We've been going at CyberX for 4 or 5 years now. A lot of people are starting to wake up that this is powerful. This is powerful, right? It's transformation. All right, sorry, we got on another tangent. So this one's on the table. Was it Universal One? And Causes was pretty cool. And what else? I think that was it for last week. Where was the one? The Fifth Dimension. That sounded pretty cool too. Um, I think that was a really super like intellectually. Yeah, that one looked like what? What you mean the fifth dimension? Okay. So I'll put that one back up there. All right, those are from last week. Anybody have a brand new one in the book club section? I'm gonna go in there real quick. Want to drop that in there? Let's see what you guys got. Okay, MC put one in there. So we'll vote for
Really
four.
started reading this one, but I like the table of contents. It's really cool. It talks about the guy of Nicaea, whatever.
Oh, the Council of the Nice.
Yeah, yeah, those guys.
Nah, I'm all about that Council of the Nice. I love that type of research. I think it's so cool to go back in time and see like the people that altered the information, the people that were the part of burning the Library of Alexandria, like why they burnt it down. It's super crazy when you actually understand like what they were trying to shadow everybody from. Um, what is it, man? Okay,
And I
let's.
like this book just because the guy has a bit of a sarcastic tone, and just for that, I liked it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna put. So, hold on. Let me just pull up the chat. So everybody go over to the chat. Sorry if you don't know how to use the Zoom chat. I'm learning Zoom too. Honestly, I hate Zoom sometimes. I'm always on Twitter. Zoom is like they keep updating stuff and they move stuff around. Where the heck? Here the chat goes. And I have like three monitors. So sometimes when I open up the chat, it'll flop up to that monitor or that one or that one. Um, okay, hold on. That's why sometimes when we're on the Zoom calls, I'm like, shit, I'm in Zoom prison because it'll pop up somewhere else. Okay. All right. So I'm looking at the chat now. This will be number one. So this was Camille's book for the week, God Man. And we'll just take a real quick look at the table of contents of each, and then you guys can make your vote, your decision. Okay, here it is. Where did I pass? Table of contents. Okay. Redemption, the ultimate goal of humanity. Kingdom at hand. Books rejected by the Council of the Nice. Oh, what? Stop it. What? What books were they rejected? I'm telling you, this stuff goes deep. The marvelous story of Joseph and Mary, man was made up, right? Okay. I'm not even gonna keep reading now already. This one that has my vote already because you know this is like my niche right here. I like this stuff. All
It's
right.
about the great, it talks about the Great Pyramid, it talks about Jupiter, it talks about so many things. It relates like Greek, it relates so much things together. I'm like, how is it even possible? But this book sounds cool.
You know what I'm learning on my journey? It's just so cool to see how people always when they get rich, they think of buying like a Lamborghini or something. Like
Dude,
all the money that I make, all I do is spend it on books. Like it's so crazy. My library is massive, massive.
bro,
Books are
nothing
where it's
better
at.
than knowledge. We're all philosoph guys. Knowledge.
Books is where it's at. You know what I've noticed too when I watch these panel discussions of all these bankers and all these people, most of them sit inside of like there's a library in their office behind them. Most of them have a lot of books. If you start to pay attention to that, look at all the politicians, all the people that like run the world, when they're on calls, when you watch their podcasts, usually they have books behind them telling you when you
If you
pay.
want to know the future, you need to know the past.
Hmm. This one's a good one. All right. Who Vince, did you put one in the chat? Can you put it in the in the books only section? If you're not a monthly member, put it in
I'll
the
do it.
general chat.
I'm I'm all about the books in the background of people's uh cams or whatever. And I'm always like, oh, what books are they reading? When I first came here, like the first day or two, um, I'm watching a Zoom call and I'm like, oh man, I gotta see what this guy Cypress is reading. And so I like screenshotted and was trying to zoom in on these books and what's this guy reading? These books look so interesting. And then like, I don't know, an hour later, day later, something like that, no one asked. You're just like, oh, this is what I'm reading, and like high quality photos of your bookshelf. And I was like, okay, that was easier than me trying to detective what's going on. But I do that
Yeah.
all the time when I'm
Yeah.
watching chat.
Yeah, bro. We got to, man. It's a that's how you learn. That's truly how I learned too. I watched this dude, shout out to Jason Breshears if you ever stumble on listening to one of my calls for some odd reason. But I get a lot of the information that I find from Jason. I've read almost all his books. He's a phenomenal dude, I think, just with the mission to share knowledge and information. And dude, same thing. I watched one of his videos, like I don't even remember how many long years ago, but um I was just like, yo, look at these books. And once I was like, okay, cool, that one looks cool. Let me buy it. And I bought it. And that's how I stumbled upon like um w- uh dang, I'm having a brain fart. Um
Pancakes.
Outwitting the Devil, you know?
Oh,
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. But I saw it on somebody's like bookshelf in a video that I watched. I was like, okay, let me read that. And I did, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And it just takes you on a huge rabbit hole. Um, so,
And
you know,
Cypress, I don't know if you remember, like a while back, Marshall Hamer had made a reference to a book that was like one of his favorites. I've never read it, but it sounded super interesting, and I was just like looking at some of the chapters, and they also sound very interesting. But the book was called "Behold a Pale Horse" by
dude,
William Cooper.
It's a famous book.
dude, this one is dope. If you don't know this one, I mean, this is honest to God though, this is in like the what's the word? In the conspiracy theory community, this book is probably well known, I'd say. Behold a Pair of Horses. Like this
Yeah, I'd
one,
be super down to read that. I've never read
1984.
him before.
Um, yeah, 1984 by George Orwell. You guys have probably heard of that book, right?
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, this book I'd say fits into that. Like
What's the
everybody's.
title?
This one's called Behold a Pale Horse. This one's deep. If you guys haven't read this one, there's a audio or something in the Discord on this one. But this is by William Cooper. Okay, Behold a Pale Horse. Phenomenal author. Phenomenal author. I mean, just again, just to get the brain juices flowing, to get the brain juices flowing and just to really unlock certain things. Yeah, that one's good. We can, I mean, let's put this. Is this, you pulled it up? Okay, cool. We'll share this. See if we can get this up. We'll put that on. All right, that's it. We can't do no more so that the voting doesn't take too long, but this one's pretty dope. Okay. I think I switched the order. Hold on. Okay, so first, number one was God, man, the Word made flesh. This one was about
So what
the.
should we vote on Discord?
We'll vote on. Yeah, we
Oh,
can vote on Discord. Matter of fact, you know what? Hold on. Let me do number one. Ooh, you know what I could do? Look, I need to get Discord savvy. We'll create a poll right here.
purple, yeah.
Boom. Okay. What book for homework this week? Sweet. Okay, and number one was. Sorry, guys and gals, while I set this up, but I feel like it'd be the most efficient way to vote. As we go along, I'll get faster at doing this. The fifth dimension. I don't think we went into the table of contents. We went into the table of contents last week. This
Yeah,
one,
this book is dope.
this one sounds cool too. Really philosophical, spiritual, the fourth dimension, approach to discovery. Yeah, the dawning era, future, the future of government, future of faith.
Yeah.
So we'll put that one on there. That will be number two. Willie and Cooper. This was Wolf's recommendation. And this one's dope too. We'll take a look at the table of contents real quick again by Milton William Cooper. Introduction, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, Secret Societies, Lessons from Lithuania, Cope de Grace, The Secret Government, Treasons in High Places, Protocols of Elders of Zion, The Story of Jonathan May, Documentation, U.S. Army Intelligence. Like what? Some of these things I can't even say, you know, right? Okay. So this one's dope. Trust me, I've read this one. I have a lot of highlights out of this one. And this book, a cool thing about this book is it will take you onto other and bigger things. It's like a good presentation of what's out there. This one looked cool too. This was from last week. We could vote on this one, and this one is the Universal One. This one was seems like more like spiritual type vibe I was getting from it. The gravitation and radiation, electromagnetic pressure, universal oneness. That sounds like a cool chapter. Omniscience. I like these three. Omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience. I bet you would learn so much from those three. These are words that actually matter, guys and gals, by the way, okay? Like words that really, when you look into them, it's like, wow, wow. The wave. So we'll put this one on there. I think that's four. And we'll give just a minute to vote so you guys have time to make a decision. You don't have to pick right away. I would say that next time too, we'll get into the rhythm of things, guys and gals. But as I'm going through my presentation to pick the next homework, you guys are kind of working with me. We're finding books or you're looking through chapters so you can make your vote, meaning, meaningful because it actually you open the book up or something and gravitated towards a chapter. Okay, and then the last one is going to be what didn't Al have one? Or am I tripping? Sometimes I lose myself in the tabs, the new tabs that I have open. Did you have one, Al, that you
Yeah,
read?
you coerced me to give one last week, and I wrote a bit of notes on it in the thread there, how it related to or it expanded on the murder of reality, something that they were saying in there.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's in his note book club.
I get sometimes lost in our own freaking Discord. Okay, cool.
Anyhow, to answer your yeah,
No, no, no. Go
to
ahead, Al.
answer your question was it's called Mastery by Robert Greene.
And that's the one from
Yeah,
last
that's yeah, I
week.
think. Cypress. Go.
No, go up. I think. Yeah,
Oh, you said twice. Okay.
yeah, right there. Hold there. So so this was this is notes on the murder reality, and then just below it. So after the image of that lizard looking guy, I guess. So if you scroll down just a bit.
Okay, so you're talking about this is the book we covered last week, and you're going over the homework for what you read out of it.
Yeah, so this
Okay,
was some
sorry,
homework
I
on.
was confused for a second. We got to make sure because remember, there's people watching that didn't watch the last one. So I was like, okay, all right, now I know what you're doing. All right, so this is the book from last week that he's touching on, guys and gals. If you weren't here last week, all right, go ahead, bro. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh yeah, so I just took so this statement right there, yeah. So in essence, the human species has had its thought processes hijacked and rewired. Sadly, we have lost the ability to think like a mammal. And so in essence, that's kind of like I don't know if this is correct, like a thesis statement of now what he's going to be presenting and arguing for the rest of that book. And had to chime in and be like, well, I literally on my bookshelf where my bookmark is was this chapter. And all this stuff happens all the time. Coincidence is not coincidence anymore. So I was like, okay, I got to push this knowledge forward. It's in my face. Anyways, the next post in there, I said, coincidentally, I'm reading another book which touches on that exact point and offers some examples of regaining that ability. Oh yeah, so I disagreed with that statement, or not that I know the truth, but I'm seeing a contradictory message. Where in this book, Mastery, uh, he's pretty much giving you a tool. He's approaching it as not like, ooh, we're being manipulated by outside forces, but just simply to unlock the potential of creativity. Uh, he touches on most of the time we think in language now. So kind of like that ticker tape of words in your mind.
So now
And
are you talking about the book Mastery, or are you still talking about the
yeah,
murder of
yeah,
reality?
if you scroll down like two more
Okay,
posts, now
okay,
so right there is quotes from the book Mastery now. There you go.
okay.
And in essence, he frames it as if we're going with, Darwinism and evolution and not space aliens built us and all that stuff. Anyways, so uh, he's saying before we even had language, how we thought and communicated and navigated the world was through our senses. And we thought in visual terms,
Mm.
not in words and symbols. And as such, we were able to evolve and dominate the planet essentially. Like we're the top dog creature on this world. And it wasn't until kind of later on where language was introduced. So he's saying, as such, uh, if you want to tap into creativity, or he gives examples of like geniuses in the past, where when asked like in autobiographies, they'd be like, "Oh, how do you think or how do you organize or solve problems?" And it's not using words. It's just like they say, "Oh, I can just see it in my mind," and then I kind of go off that. So anyhow, to become more creative, he's just suggesting tap into other things. Like maybe he talks about tactile, any of your senses, hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, tasting. If you layer that on top of how you're trying to approach a problem or think or whatnot, it'll trigger your mind to approach the idea from a different angle, essentially. Like you start thinking laterally, as opposed to just this one way that all the secret
Bro,
funding of, you know,
am I tripping? Al, this is crazy that what you're saying right now. Hold on. Can I read this, bro? I just read this.
sure.
This I just so that way there's context for what you're talking about because you're going and people might not see because they haven't read the snippet, but I just found it. That's like hitting the nail on what you're saying. Look at this. The reason for this regression to visual forms of thinking is simple. Human working memory, let me move this, is limited. We can only keep in mind several pieces of information at the same time. Through an image, we can simultaneously imagine many things at once at a glance, as opposed to words, which can be impersonal and rigid. A visualization is something we create, something that serves our particular needs of the moment and can represent an idea in a way that is more fluid and real than simply words. The use of images to make sense of the world is perhaps our most primitive form of intelligence. Y'all, that sentence, reread it back. The use of images to make sense of the world is perhaps our most primitive form of intelligence. You guys and gals, what is happening right now with AI and social media and everything that's being fed to us through an algorithm? The use of images to make sense of the world, which is how everybody makes sense of the world nowadays, is perhaps our most primitive form of intelligence and can help us conjure up ideas that we can later verbalize. Words also are abstract. An image or a model makes our idea suddenly more concrete, which satisfies our need to see and feel things with our senses. That is crazy. This is from Mastery or
Yeah, mastery. And so why I wanted to point this out is the murder reality, and I haven't read it, but just the gist that you get from the start there is uh yo peeps, like you guys are doomed because somebody or something has learned how to hack your system, your mind. And they know us so well, and regardless whether I'm using they and us and all that stuff, they know us so well that they've got us now in this tunnel using language. That was their magic or their spell. And we're trapped in this language tunnel. And to break free from at least that form of attack, start thinking like this, like go back to your roots or just like one level lower of hardware. So language is kind of like software, whereas thinking in terms of your senses and using your nervous system is using your hardware. And back to then like the Gurdjieff book, where we're no matter what, you will always be influenced by an external source. Like you have no choice. And that's not a bad thing. It's just like we're walking radios, okay? Where no matter what we do, we're always on, we're always receiving a transmission. However, if you get control of yourself, you can pick which station you're
Exactly.
getting your message from. So you do your due diligence and you go, okay, I have to pick one. I can't say none. I have to pick one transmission that is going to influence me. Then do your homework, pick the right signal, cut out the rest, and you're laughing. You're not like now
And
just sit back and let it flow, man. Like that influence is going to
but
do
that's
you.
a discipline as well, because we constantly bombarded, like you said, by like wave by negativity and positivity, and it's a constant reminder and self-observation on your own mind, where you drift or not, to always bring you back to this, like you said, to these good senses.
yeah, that was phenomenal. I want to really lay the homework back on the table for this week. Great flow of conversation. Cannot stress enough just how valuable these talks were with you guys this week. Super motivational. I mean, the fact how powerful these conversations, how deep they got. I mean, it got deep today, really energetic. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys that shared today. Um, and I encourage more of you guys to share. Maybe you couldn't this week because you were busy or you're doing something and you can't, you're just listening in the background, or maybe you're just not ready there yet to come up to the stage and talk. But I shared with you guys today my story, personal, um, to really show you guys that this is a space where we can be ourselves. We can encourage each other to just persevere knowledge and information and not be afraid to share things that others might judge us in a sense, you know? So the reason why I'm not putting a cap on this, on like how we structure this, or like coming into the next week and I had a freaking PowerPoint for you guys or anything like that. I want it to be natural. I want it to be free flowing, and I want you guys to break free and be on your own journey and just find this Library of Awakening space to share our ideas together as a team with a non-biased opinion, by just recommending books. Hey, we recommend books. There's no opinion on them. If somebody recommends a religious book, and then at the end of the week, we vote on it, we come back. If you want to participate in the homework, that'll be the homework for the next week, and we'll just keep flowing with the conversation. And today's convo was powerful. So thank you guys for sharing that. Like I mentioned, there's going to be a whole new wave of enlightened individuals that find CyberX, and then they're not going to find it for the, crypto and trading aspect content that we make, and they're going to find us for this content, and they're going to need a home as well. So that's why I'm creating Library of Awakening, and I'm going to continue to do these calls with you guys on Friday afternoon/evenings, depending on my schedule, because those times may vary and change. But good show out today. Hope you guys learned something. Now let's vote real quick. Um, I did four, so I have four in there, and then next week we'll put mastery back on the table, Al, if you want. Or do you want to put mastery on the table for number five? I don't know if you were
Uh,
recommending that one or if you were
no,
just
save it for a couple of weeks. I'm kind of curious about these other ones, but while I'm finishing off Mastery, I'll try to find like the chapter that's the gem in there or something like that.
for sure.
And yeah, I'll pass it on.
All right, I'm gonna post this, and yeah, have at it. Let's just take a quick minute to vote real quick. So number one, the first one was God Man, the Word made flesh. This one I thought seemed pretty interesting, if I'm being completely honest, from the personal studies that I'm currently embarking on. That's why I think this one's probably going to have my vote this week. I've been digging deep recently. I have like these cycles where I research certain things that my soul is gravitating towards in that portion of time. And recently, I've just been digging into deep religious stuff like ancient texts, texts that are older than the Bible. And so this aligns with that journey, which I feel like I'm not necessarily almost finished, but definitely finding some answers and some roadblocks where I feel like I need to take a break from it for a minute and transition to something else. But I've been on this backdrop for probably about 6 months now, and this rabbit hole goes deep. So this book gravitates towards me. While I'm talking, by the way, guys and gals, um, you know, make sure that you are voting. So that way we're done. We're going to be done after this, after our breakdown. So that was number one. Number two was The Fifth Dimension and the Future of Mankind by Vera Stanley Alder. And excuse me, the previous one, I didn't say the author's name. Da, 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 da. Where did the title go? The God Man, the World Made Flesh by Dr. George W. Carey and Inez Eudora Perry. And I would be very inclined to know what this picture is. Almost looks uh like a staff or something. This looks pretty cool. The Wonders of the Human Body, the Chemistry of Life. That's definitely something divine. I mean, there's so much symbolism in this one little tiny picture. But yeah, published by the Chemistry of Life Co., Los Angeles, California, back 1920, y'all. Come on now. Come on now. That one's gonna have some juice. Juice. Anyways, that's why that one has my vote. Fifth Dimension, Vera Stanley, The Future of Mankind. I want to get the dates of these books if they have them. But some of these books we'll find are going to be like from the frickin' 1800s, 1940s, something like that, right? Okay, let's go over Behold a Pale Horse, William Cooper, or sorry, excuse me, Milton William Cooper. This one was pretty dope. That's number three. And then number four was the Universal One, 1926, Walter Russell. There was a whole bunch of cool chapters in this one. All right.
If we go with this book, the first one, I recommend we go with a couple of chapters because this chapter is like 2, 3 pages, and it touch upon the fakeness around Christmas, the Great Pyramid. It talks about so many things.
Well, I think
Pretty.
what we'll do moving forward too, Camille, is instead of picking a specific chapter, we'll just leave the whole book open, and just like how we were
Okay.
screenshotting in the book club section, the screenshots that are in the book club section will just primarily be for homework. So that
Okay.
way we kind of keep a structure to it, and we know that the conversations that are most recent are about this week's homework.
So like that people can read the chapter they like.
Yeah, so people can pick whatever chapter they like. I think that'll be the best way to keep it,
Cool.
free again. Is we just
Perfect.
we as a team bring a book to the table, and then you know you might not gravitate towards the entire book, but go in, pick a chapter, tap into it, one that just gravitates to it towards you, and skim over it. As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, how I got through last week's homework was while I was doing my cardio instead of scrolling on Instagram or, effing off on TikTok. I'm sitting there reading a book, and you saw how powerful that conversation was this week. Right. So I think it's beneficial for us, especially considering what we're going through, the hard times that people are experiencing. I personally think that a lot of people are going to need this, because it's almost like a healing in a sense. It's a
It is.
healing. It's not just about finances, and I want to really bring that aspect of CyberX to the masses. That it's also about the journey and the experiences, and how we can each have those and share them with each other is by reading something that triggers a memory or an experience, which then sparks conversation. And now here we are. That was a great combo, guys and gals. So, all right, that's it. We're going to go with God Man, the Word Made Flesh. I think Camille was the one, right? So that's the one we're going to go with. So that PDF is going to be right there in the book club section. That'll be the homework. We'll just pick a chapter, and throughout the week, lock in, read a page or two, or the whole chapter, or the whole book, and share your experience on what you read. A brief summary would be best, if I'm being completely honest. And then also, too, what I will say is that people that are constantly sharing, what will help us all is if how you first shared or how you start to share continues to be how you share. So, like, what I mean by that is, I'm going to structure how I share the same way. So that way, when people are reading my stuff, they know, like, okay, I know that his number one, if you scroll down to his picture, means this number one, right? So that they can read my reference and read my notes on it. And then same thing too, so on and so forth. That's how I'm going to do my screenshots. And so what I recommend is just that if you're sharing in this, you also, you know, generate your own way to do your screenshot, where you got that reference from, and then your own personal relationship to it. Whether it's a sentence, doesn't have to be a sentence, doesn't have to be a paragraph, could be just a word even. But grow with us. I encourage you guys to, even if you're not doing it every week, do it once a month. Make it a thing for yourself to tap in and just be like, hey, this is something I've never tried before. Let me see if it helps me. And I guarantee you there will be a day where you do learn something. And then, yeah, we've done our job here. So many blessings to you guys. That's it for today. I appreciate you guys coming out. We had an interstellar week. Freaking 8 people passed their challenges. What? Y'all are cooking. It's crazy. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys. So I'll chat with you Sunday or Monday next week for our fundamental Zoom call to kick the week off. But blessings to you guys. Everybody take it easy.
Thank you, Cypress.
No
Cheers,
problem.
everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you,
You guys as
Cypress.
well.
brothers,
That was great.
sisters.
Love and light.
Love
Love and
Thank
light.
you, everybody.
See you guys next week. Everybody take it easy. I know some of the perspectives that I share may be as challenging for you as they once were for me. But isn't that the beauty of exploration? Every perspective, no matter how unconventional, has something valuable to contribute to it if it's shared. Knowledge is not absolute. It's a living, breathing phenomena, shaped and reshaped over time. The important thing is not always be right, but to always be curious. Explore freely, share boldly, and learn deeply. And don't rely solely on others to validate your discoveries. Stand firm in integrity, even in the face of criticism. Remember that growth always means embracing the humility to admit when we're wrong. Learning from our errors is not a setback, it's the very essence of our progress. So, welcome to the journey. May this space inspire you to ask questions, explore the unknown, and most importantly, to awaken. This is the Library of Awakening,